Oftentimes, I hear people talking about the possibilities of time travel. Some want to go back in time, while others prefer to go to the future to see what the future holds. But for a majority of us, if we really wanted to go back in time, all we have to do is to visit most schools today. The system may have changed slightly. The content we teach may be slightly different, but the overall system of schooling is nearly identical to that of 100 years ago. Long, dark, cramped hallways, cinder block walls, slender, thin lockers, and neatly lined rows of desks and chairs, all facing the classrooms, ready for the teacher to share their knowledge. It's really interesting to think about school reform. You may know me as the principal of New Albany High School, but today I'm also talking to you as the father of a beautiful 3-year-old daughter named Gabrielle. The world has changed, but the one institution that is hindered by our nostalgia is school. We as adults, we have a very difficult time of seeing something different for our students in terms of education because of our own experiences. And we shudder with fear that the thought that the system that we were raised in is what's best for today's students. Many non-educators, because you spent more than 13 plus years in school, you think you know what's best for our educational system. Today's students are connected, they're casual, they collaborate. Today's students have access to information that is readily available to them with the swipe of a finger or a simple download. They connect to the world, and they access thousands of images daily, and this access has changed how their brains are wired. As I said earlier, they connect digitally, they reach out to their friends, and they want to share their story. But at the same time, students are required to enter school across the country, power down, strap in, and sit passively for 6.5 hours until they are released to the world outside of school. So this can be overwhelming for all of us. So what do? I say, let's quit school and start learning. With the use of mobile technology and the explosion of social media and social networking, learning has become a 24/7, 365-day social activity. Most of us in this room have some type of social network that we connect with. We use that to share stories, to share images, to ask questions, and to share ideas. This connection that we crave and our students crave so much, we also ask ourselves, are we addicted to it? And I say no, we're not addicted to the device, but we are addicted to the connection. And this desire to connect is challenging the conventional wisdom of how we run our schools. And if we don't empower students to use technology, to access the vast of information and knowledge that's readily available, school will become, if it already hasn't, a place to go rather than an experience to have. My daughter Gabrielle will start school, kindergarten, in 2 short years. When she began to walk a couple years ago, my wife and I would capture this experience on our phones. And as we sat in the great room, Gabby would see us looking at our phones to, again, look at the images and see what was going on. And she would stumble and make her way over to the sofa table. And on our sofa table, we have a number of family photos. And Gabby would take her left hand and grab one of the family photos. And with her right finger, she would swipe across the glass. And when nothing happened, she would look at us confused and disappointed that she couldn't see more pictures. So then she would put the picture back and then make her way over to our TV, where she would then touch the screen and swipe her hand across the screen in hopes to see more images. Touchscreen technology has changed the way Gabby will consume and access information. What's even more interesting is that this is the worst the technology will be in her life. Will her school be ready for her? Students who are just a few years older than Gabby are posting videos to YouTube that demonstrate how they're solving equations or breaking through the levels on the latest games. They're capturing their experiences for their friends to see. But the norm in many schools is for students to consume packaged information that is to be later regurgitated on the test and is quickly forgotten. And why do we do this? It's because that's what our experience was in school. Many adults shudder with fear of challenging and changing the institution that we know and love. So we have to ask ourselves, what do we do? How do we even begin to make a difference? There was once a little girl on the beach, and the beach was surrounded by thousands of starfish that were washed ashore. So as the little girl was picking up the starfish and tossing them into the ocean, a man about my age, completing his morning jog, he's perplexed, and he sees this little girl and says, "What are you doing?" She said, "I'm saving the starfish." He looks around and said, "There's thousands of them. You can't possibly make a difference." She shrugged her shoulders, picked up a starfish, and tossed it in the ocean. And she excitedly explained to him, "I made a difference to that one." The man continues on with his jog after shaking his head. He looks down and realizes his shoe's untied. So as he kneels down to tie his shoe, he picks up a starfish, tosses it into the ocean. At that moment, he and the little girl make eye contact, and they smile. He continues on with his jog. To change our current educational system is an overwhelming task. I know that, I get it, I'm in the system myself. But if we start with just one student, one classroom, one space, one area, we too can make a difference. So parents, grandparents, community members, instead of asking students, "What did you learn in school today?" start asking students, "What problems do you want to solve?" Also ask students, "What questions do you ask today?" I'm ready to quit school. How about you? Thank you.